What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to structure your Facebook ad campaigns to optimize for performance, decrease the amount of time it spends in learning phase, and get in front of your target customers as quick as possible. So I'm going to be showing you in my screen here the way to set this up. Before we get started though, if you could use either done for you or done with you services, I offer both below. Just book a complimentary call and we will talk about it. So going into here, we've got a sales campaign. And I've just got this set up very basic so far, right? I just set up a sales campaign and then I just, went through the steps. We're not going to be focusing on which buttons to click in this video. I've got plenty of those videos though. If you look for my Facebook ads walkthrough, I do have a brand new one coming out soon to adjust for the 2026 changes. But how you're going to want to think about this is that each campaign is going to be for a different product or a different offer, okay? And if you only have one offer that the ads are going to, you should only have one campaign. Because whenever you make a new campaign, this is a very common mistake I see people make, is they'll be like, oh, this campaign is my November 2025 campaign, right? Or they're naming it off of like, oh, images. My image ads are going to be in this campaign. But that's not how it is, all right? The campaign level is for the offer because Facebook ads optimizes for a certain type of customer per campaign. So if you are running ads for years for the same offer, you would just still have one campaign. You would not change it because that is what resets the learning phase. So you would only come out with new ads. So how this might look, we have like product offer slash offer one. That is how your campaign is going to be named, by the way. If I'm selling a product called Back Scratcher, this campaign is literally just going to be called Back Scratcher. Okay. You don't name it like Back Scratcher 2026 LFJ 52. Like so many people have campaign names that are so long. Your goal with naming everything is to use as few words possible because as soon as this whole page is filled up and you have all of these different campaigns going, it gets really complicated to look at and you might not even notice it, but it's going to take you a lot longer to actually optimize your campaigns because you're just looking at too many words on the screen. It should be as simple as possible. Let's say that, let me go into editing here. I'm not going to name it like this, right? This one is also going to be called product slash offer 2. And again, if you only have one offer, you only have one campaign forever. Maybe you make a new campaign for a sale and that's it. But otherwise, if any kind of evergreen ad for a certain offer is always going to go in that folder, just like the icon shows here, the campaigns are a folder for everything marketing related to that offer. Now, the ad set would not be called yoga. Like it's called yoga here because I had done, a detailed targeting for yoga. So in the past, you named your ad set off of whatever your detailed targeting was. Nowadays, if you're using open targeting, you're more going to be like this. You're going to be like US, then I'm going to do a dash. And if I'm going to all genders, I'm not going to put anything. If I'm going to just one gender, I'm going to put men or I'm going to put woman. And then you would put the age range. Now, let's say it's like 18 to 65 plus, right? I have it like maximum age range would be one of my ad sets here. If I only have one ad set, like I'm just going to probably call this like United States and that's it. If I'm going to have multiple ad sets, like if I'm going to have like US 18 to 65 and then I'm going to have another one, which would be, let's say Australia. And if that one was going to be 18 to 65 as well, like I said, I'm going to have these names be as short as possible because I'm not differentiating age between ad sets. I would just call them like this. Like that's the only thing that's different. I'm only naming it off of how it's different from the other ones. If I had US 18 to 35 and US 36 up, and the same with Australia, then I would have the ages in there. If I have one that's US men and then another one that's US woman, then I would also have that distinction. Otherwise, if that was literally the only distinction between them, I would do that. So it's either going to be off of the location, the age, the gender, or if you're doing a lookalike audience or some kind of detailed targeting, which is rarely what you should do nowadays. It's just going to be like this. Anything that is common between every ad set is not going to get listed in the name. And then the ad is going to be named after the most important factor going on with that ad. In a video, it's the first thing that you say. In an image, it's the first thing that they read. So if I have an image and it has a headline that says, buy this now, which is never going to be what your headline is, but I'm going to just name the ad whatever is like the distinguishing factor of that ad. I know we're, talking about ad naming, and you might think, well, how is this important to campaign structure? It is extremely important. It is actually the quickest way that I can tell how advanced someone is at Facebook ads, because they would have adapted, the simple naming strategy if they had been in it long enough. So a lot of people, what they do is they're like ad 1 or ad A, content A. I used to do this, content A, caption A. Is like how I used to name it, and then content A, caption B. The problem with that, even though you can clearly say C, like, oh, it looks like content A, caption C is the winner, is that in order to truly optimize your ads, you're always trying to make a better ad than whatever your best one currently is. So for that reason, if I'm like, wow, content A, caption C won, I have to go into content A, caption C, remind myself what it is every time that I need that little refresher. Or maybe I want to look at the ads that didn't do well. So I'm going to go in there and be like, oh, content D, caption B did bad. What was that one again? I'm going to have to go in and edit, and then I'm going to have to look at the ad preview and be like, oh yeah. And then I'm going to go back and be like, wait, what was that other one? So you don't want to name things like that. You're only going to name your ads off of how you definitely know what that ad is. Now, let's say that the ad was like best yoga mat out there. I use yoga as my default product when I'm put on the spot. Get used to it. I might put best yoga mat as the ad name because at the top of my ad, it says best yoga mat. If I only have like one caption, one headline, then that's going to be my ad name. Now you can add, as we all know, the multiple captions and multiple, headlines just within the ad down here. Like once I add the creative, let me just grab an image. If I am writing multiple primary text and multiple headlines, you can do it like that. I will say that this does go along with, structuring. So good to talk about. It is very difficult to monitor your results. It is also very hard to control how much each ad gets or each caption gets when you do it this way. If I put like caption A, caption B, and I do it like that, a lot of times, one or two captions will get like 80% of the budget. And unless you like delete them temporarily, you can't force the budget. And it's just kind of weird to delete and republish. It has to go through the processing phase again. It's just not how you want to do it. So I will say, if you want to be really structured and have full control and see clearly displayed results, and you're doing a caption test, doing it like this is a better way to go. So let's say that this caption here starts with like, this is the best yoga mat on the market. And then this one here was like, trouble with your yoga mat, ? Like if it was like that, I would name this ad best yoga mat. And then I like to put in quotations so I know that it's the caption that I'm talking about, trouble with your yoga mat. And then I'm going to do that. And then for this one, it would be, this is the best yoga mat. So now when I am at this view, which I like to call the macroscopic view, I could be looking at it and say, oh, that one is best yoga mat with that caption. Oops, let me put the quotes on it. And then that is the best yoga mat ad with that caption. Then you can clearly see the data. You can also temporarily pause or turn on an ad to temporarily turn off an ad to force the budget to the other one, which I love doing because Facebook, especially lately, really loves to pick what its favorite ad is and give it almost all of the budget. And it's like, I need to test my other ones. I need to see what the results are. But when you do it like this, you want to be able to make decisions at the macroscopic view. Because in order to come out with a new best ad, you have to know why your previous ads either were successful or failed. So if I can see like this one did worse than this one, I'd be like, oh, this is the best yoga mat. Seems to be more effective than trouble with your yoga mat. So it seems like doing a positive benefits related pitch does better than a problem related pitch. So I'm going to stay in this lane and I'm going to make more that are like, I'm going to quote a customer about how they love this yoga mat, or I'm going to stay positive about it and I'm going to talk about customer experiences rather than trying to address that they have a problem with their mat, because maybe they don't have a problem with their mat. And that's how you have to think. That's how you really get good at ads. And honestly, it's difficult to teach that apart from just experience, wisdom, and someone who just has a knack for advertising, someone who's probably paid attention to advertising and marketing and has a very keen sense of what has made them buy in life is really how you're going to be like, oh, I have a guess as to why this one's winning and this one's losing, right? And then you're going to be like, I'm going to duplicate this one and I'm going to make a new ad with, ideally an even better caption. And then I would turn off the one that has a failing caption. I still do love doing the captions in here, right? Putting the multiple primary text. It's a lot easier on my account that I have so many ads already. I usually do this. If I were you though, if you only have like 1 to 5 offers, I would separate your captions into different ads. It is going to be a better way to do it to really finely tune your ads. Now, if you do, the multiple primary text within one ad by adding these options, as most people do, here's a trick that I didn't know about for a long time, honestly. You click breakdown text, and then it will show you how each ad performed by those different captions, or you can do headline. And this is a great way to even look at age and gender and even the, which countries or whatever did the best. You can see from these breakdowns. I didn't know about that for a long time. I hope I'm, alone on that one, and I hope you guys knew about that, but there you go. So the problem with it though is when you do like multiple captions, it won't cleanly show 2, 3, 4, 5 captions. It will show you, here's how the caption performed on feed. Here's how the caption performed on stories. Here's how the caption performed in different placements. So you'll see like multiple options or multiple data lines for each caption that you do. And it becomes extremely hard to actually process the data. It's nearly impossible to process the data without getting out a pen and paper. And I'm not trying to do that. So organizing it like this is also a great way to go. Apart from that, campaign structuring. I am going to do campaign budget in most instances. Ad set budget, though, I only do in this case when it's geography based, because usually if I have ads going in the US and then ads going on Australia, I would prefer to control that budget manually for each country. Because if you do campaign budget and I say you have $50 a day, it's not going to do 25 US, 25 Australia. It's going to be totally random, and it's going to be, even changing on a daily basis. And it's not always the best. Usually what happens is the US takes up $40 and Australia gets $10. I would just rather have that control. You're really going to want to remain control when it comes down to different countries. Last thing I'll say is, just like I did here, if you are advertising to multiple countries, always divide them at the ad set level. That, even if you don't change anything else apart from the country, you're gonna want to see this data separately. You don't want to put United States and Australia in the same ad set. You're not going to have control of the budget is the biggest problem with it. And this is just data that you're going to want to see cleanly separated. That is the only other reason that I will make a new ad set or a new ad, or I guess new ad set or a new campaign, even if I'm not technically changing anything about the campaign or the ad set, is because I want to cleanly separate that data for some reason. So just like this, I want to see how does it perform in the United States and Australia clearly separated from each other, because you're going to get very different results per country. You really are. You can't just be like, it's working in the US, turn on the other countries, and then it works. Countries buy things differently. Different marketing works in different countries. Some countries will just completely flop, even though you thought Australians were close enough to how the US spends money. Like, there's just going to be problems that you run into. Now, you can divide it with like Australia and New Zealand in one ad set. You can do it where it's like European countries in one ad set. I usually do that. I'll do like US. You can add Canada to US is not nearly as bad, but usually the United States is everyone's bread and butter, and just keeping that ad set separate is a good idea. But you could do like US in one, you can do Canada in another, and Mexico in another. You could do like European countries. You could do like Australia and New Zealand as one. And then if you do Asian countries, you could put those in one ad set. For the most part, you're gonna want to keep the data and the control of the budgeting separate. That's all you really need to know when it comes down to organizing your campaigns, or at least as far as I can think of right now. I'm always coming out with new updated videos, so be sure you're subscribed to the channel. Book a call with me below. Smash the like button while you're at it, and I'll see you in the next video.